Get right over there where I did.
You might have to back up to get them all in.
That's fine. That's fine. There you go. Oh, this is great. Fantastic. There you go. Now, Masons serve their 50 years in different ways. Kyle served his in different functions his entire career in Masonry. In fact, he's still serving part of your lodge. I believe that we probably are responsible for some of the cooking that goes on in the kitchen, I'm sure. On occasion. Well, Right Worshipful Kyle Hobart Anderson was born May 17th, 1938 in Easton, so you haven't gone far from your birthplace. Initiated first degree September 7th, 1960, passed October 5th, 1960, raised 11/9, 1960. Let's see. Signed the bylaws January 4th, 1961. Now, the reason why I bring up the topic that Masons serve their careers in different ways, just a brief history of the offices held by Right Worshipful Kyle Hobart Anderson. Junior Warden, Paul Dean Lodge. Senior Warden, Paul Dean Lodge. Worshipful Master, Paul Dean Lodge. Junior Warden again, Paul Dean Lodge. District Deputy Grand Master of the 28th Masonic District. And what years were you District Deputy?
2001.
So you shared part of your service time with Rick Austin.
Right.
And you were awarded the Joseph Warren Distinguished Service Medal on October 7th, 1998. From a personal standpoint, I've known Kyle at least 10 years, if not more. And I think that I got to know Kyle when he and Rick Austin were traveling around as district deputies, because at the time I was on the district deputy staff as his awareness officer. And Kyle definitely is a worker bee. It just seemed that if there was anything going on within his lodge, within his district, he was part of it. I don't think that there was ever anything that I saw that happened within the walls of Paul Dean Lodge that didn't have his handwriting on it somewhere. For that, not only Paul Dean Lodge, but part of your lodge owes you a debt of gratitude, because worker bees like you are few and far between. Kyle, we talked about this last spring when you had just come back from Florida, and I told you that you were on the list to get your 50-year medal, and I was going to give it to you, and I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. This is one of the highlights of being a district deputy. I mean, you know, you're among the ranks, but this is one of the highlights is presenting the 50-year medals, because I'm 52 years old. I may never ever see a 50-year veterans medal, but you know, 50 years, well spent. On behalf of the Grand Master of Masons in Massachusetts and the Brethren of Paul Dean Lodge, as well as part of your lodge, once again, it is indeed a pleasure for me to present you your 50-year veterans medal. I'm going to put it right over there. If you wouldn't mind. blood, we know you did it right. On purpose. Polyethylene carrying case.
You want to use this to hammer it in?
Sylvia did it a lot faster than you.
Fantastic. Now,
Uh-oh.
the floor is yours.
Well, I'd like to tell my grandchildren a little story,
There you go.
how I got into masonry. When I was in Sunday school, up at the Lutheran Church, Everett Hall was my Sunday school teacher, and he had a ring on, and I said, oh, God, I was just a little kid, and I admired him so much. And I asked him, I said, what kind of ring is that? And he says, that's a Masonic ring. And I said, oh, I want to be a Mason when I grow up. Anyways, I got home and I said to my brother Paul, I said, boy, Mr. Hall has a Masonic ring. And I thought it was a big deal, you know. I think I was 11 or 12 at the time. And my brother Paul said, I just joined. And I said, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a Mason. So I didn't think anything of it until I started working. And I was working up at Foxborough, and it was funny because every person that I really admired had a Masonic emblem on his toolbox. And I said, holy mackerel. I said, I have to join that. And I said, how do I join? And so that's all they have to say, and they picked me up and carried me out of it. Anyways, that was just the start of it. So I started off in the Lutheran Church in the kitchen with Everett Hall. I ended up working with his brother, his father, and his brother, the whole family, and they were all just wonderful people. And that was, after I joined, and I didn't think anything of it. I took my first 2 degrees up at the Ames Memorial Hall, which was 94 steps to go up. And because everybody remembers up there, you ever walked up those stairs. And then I was the first one raised in the long form in the new hall, where I spent so much time in the kitchen. So it kind of works around. And I had Johnny Hanscom raised me, but John Moline, Howie Anquist, and Norman Anderson were my investigation committee. And I still have, I was going to bring him tonight, but I still have the letter that they sent me saying that I was supposed to take my degrees in September. And with Norman Anderson, he was the master, and he had it signed, and Wendell Anderson was the secretary at the time. But it really, I've loved masonry since the time I got into it. And the funniest part was I worked in, must have been 50 or 60 tool makers in Foxborough. And they all, the biggest percentage of them belonged to the Masons. And after I was raised, I was working on my bench, and Corey Fuller come down to me. And he was a big enchilada. He came down to me, and I didn't really know who he was other than the fact that he was a big shot. And he came down and he shook my hand and he says, welcome to the, joining the Masons, you know, he gave me the big picture. Wonderful man. So after he leaves, about 3 guys that didn't belong, they come over to me and they, holy mackerel, man, how in the world, whatever in the world did you ever do? You have him come down and shake your hand. I just joined the Masons, that's all. And that was, but Corey Fuller, my brother knows because he worked at Foxborough, but he was just a super guy. But I've had so many good stories. I thought about all these foolish stories that I was going to say before I came up here. But that was my story about joining the Masons, and that was started in the old Lutheran church, which I had the Sunday school in, and then I ended up staying in there most of my Masonic career. But that's it, folks. My wife Linda, my grandson Nicholas, my grandson Mateo, my granddaughter Kelly, and my grandson Jonas, my daughter Corin, my son-in-law Dan, my brother Earl. Don't let him leave without an application. And my sister-in-law Barbara, my daughter Lisa, our friend Annette, and my daughter Diane. I got the whole family here. That was good.
Get a picture of the commercial basket. You got it. I will turn. How's that? Will it work?
No work.